Hey, yo, peace one two. What's up, y'all? Yours truly, D Prime 215 here. If you're watching this and you enjoy it, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe to yours truly. I greatly appreciate that. Check it out. First things first, two things off top. Number one, I have not made a video talking about hip hop in way too long. I know it's been over a year, if not two, right? And then secondly, I haven't made a video just talking to y'all. So we're kind of knocking out two birds with one stone, if you will, right? So here we are, right? What's the title of the video? What am I talking about? The whole 38 Spesh Jadakiss situation, right? Giving y'all my 215 cents on that. Why 215 cents? I'm from Philly. That's just what I'm gonna call it because, I rep home, right? So how do I feel about the situation? So as you could imagine, so you might ask yourself like, yo, why am I even talking about this? Well, here's why. I couldn't not talk about it because my phone's been going crazy. People calling me, texting me, DMing me, yo, how you feel about Spesh talking about Jadakiss, whatever. And for those who know me in real life, or if you follow this channel really closely, you might know this, but if you know me in real life, you know this for sure. Jadakiss has been one of my favorite MCs for a very long time, literally grew up on Jadakiss, right? So as you could imagine, he's just been in my top 5 for a very long time. So as you could imagine, my friends knowing that when they heard of Spesh saying what he said, they're like, yo, like, how do you feel about it? Boom, boom, whoop, whoop. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I watched, pretty much just to give you all synopsis on like what happened. 38 Spesh, he was on the BagFuel podcast, and he pretty much said that Jadakiss is ducking him, right? So what happened was back in 2019, Benny the Butcher, he had an EP called The Plugs I Met. On the EP, there's a song called Sunday School. Benny featuring 38 Spesh and Jadakiss. With that being said, right, so I know Jadakiss, like I said, he's like, I grew up on one of my favorite MCs ever. That being said, in my opinion, out of all three people on that record, Spesh had the best verse. His verse stood out the most to me. It was one of those situations where every MC really goes in and just kills it, is like incredibly sharp. No one missed like any spots or anything like that, but like his verses stood out the most to me. And also the song is named after one of his lines on the record. They don't want to go there. It's like Sunday school. Like, so that's like his verse is what the song is named after. So if anything, I think that's another key indicator to me that he had the best verse, right? So in any case, so they did the song Sunday School. Spesh was saying like, pretty much Kiss was like, yo, like why you kill the verse like that? Why you go that crazy on the verse, whatever, right? And then he's reached out to him subsequently and just never got, he never got a verse or a collab from Jadakiss. And then afterwards, like after the BagFuel podcast, he went on with Rory Mal on their podcast where he expanded on it a bit because as you could imagine, I'm gonna get into this in a minute too, but as you could imagine, it caused an uproar. It's like, yo, like who is 38 Spesh? Why does he think Jadakiss is ducking him? X, Y, Z, boom, 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 right? So, which is completely understandable. So he went on Rory Mal and he just kind of like, not so much doubled down solely, but like he expanded on it a bit more. He was like, yo, Kiss said to send him something, and he sent him multiple records. Kiss never got back. He feels as though he wasn't sure if Kiss was genuine when he said it because like he sent him all these records. He never got a Kiss verse. So that's why he feels the way that he does. And he feels that Spesh feels as though like he's very like much worthy of being of rearranging the top 5 because of the work that he's been putting in for a while, right? So hold that thought. I'm gonna get into that in a minute. I'm gonna get to that right now, right? So as I mentioned, I grew up on Jadakiss, and when he said you sound anything like Kiss, sound right here, I signed there, right? So as you can tell visually, and I'll say it here if you're having trouble figuring it out, I'm black, right? And I'm also from Philly. Philly actually isn't even that big of a deal in this. What I'm trying to get to is I'm from an inner city environment, right? So, and I get my hair cut pretty frequently and have been since childhood. So like I've been in black barbershops pretty much my whole life, right? So I say all that to say two things. One, pretty much in any inner city neighborhood within the whole country, the US, and certainly abroad as well to a degree, but definitely within the US, Jadakiss is beloved, right? Like Jadakiss, you say good in any hood, Jadakiss is like, everyone loves Jadakiss, bro. Like we all love Kiss, you know what I'm saying? So, the idea of saying like, Spesh Kiss is ducking Spesh is crazy, but not even just that, right? So like I can see on the internet people are like, yo, like they're upset about it. Me being in these barbershops, I've literally seen with my own two eyes, anywhere from 1 to 3 feet ahead of me, if someone didn't have a favorable thing to say about Jadakiss, like, okay, we're talking about top 5 or top 10, if someone not so much didn't include Jadakiss in it, but try to insinuate that Kiss wasn't worthy of being in the top 5 or top 10, you almost would have an altercation on your hands, man. So so I see what people are saying on the internet, and I completely understand that. But like I've literally seen this in person, like how that could escalate, and like the amount of friends I have, and like being in barbershops where we could like recite like Jadakiss verses verbatim, or like certain excerpts. Not just, I'm not talking hit records solely. I'm talking like miscellaneous freestyles. Like me and my people, like what they did, the verses, right? Like the Locks versus Dipset. And I said the Locks was gonna win, even though all my friends were saying I was crazy, and then we all saw what happened, right? But when Jadakiss dropped the Who Shot You freestyle, I knew that was from the Champions Head Part 3. A lot of people thought that was net new. So I'm saying all that to say, to further like, draw the visual and like, explain that like literally like Jadakiss is one of my favorites ever, right? But let's get back into it, right? As far as the whole 38 Spesh thing. So Spesh feels as though Kiss is ducking him because he never got a verse back from Kiss after sending him multiple records. A lot of people are upset about it and confused, and it is understandable for everything I just mentioned. But then also you got to think about who Kiss rhymed with, right? Kiss has rhymed with Hove. He's rhymed with Big. He's rhymed with Black Thought, not on a record as far as I know, but I know the Roots Picnic a couple years back, they were doing a live mixtape with each other. So Jadakiss is he's rhymed with DMX. Jadakiss is rhymed with like your favorites. He's rhymed with almost any and everyone out there who you would consider to be like a monster, right? Like any and everyone out there who was like, yo, like this is like one of the ones. He's rhymed with Eminem. So it's like, so the idea you got to think, it's like, to say Kiss is ducking him, that's got to be like, wait, like how could you say that, right? But here's the thing about Spesh, right? So again, I understand why a lot of people might be really upset with Spesh. That's totally understandable, right? But here's the thing with Spesh, right? So I understand, like for myself, like I didn't know Spesh until like 2016, 2017, which is late, when you think about how long he's been doing this thing, right? But, since, even though I found out around that time, I knew I had access to this thing called the internet. So I'm like, all right, 38 Spesh freestyle, 38 Spesh, mixtape, interview, whatever. I just start typing that stuff in, because when I heard I was like, yo, this dude kind of nice, you know what I'm saying? So I learned he was putting his work in for a minute, seeing with DJ Green Lantern, Pete Rock, DJ Premier, and he's rhymed with a lot of dudes for quite some time. I think he has a freestyle. He was in a cypher on Green Lantern's show. I think it might have been Beanie Siegel. If not Siegel, someone from State Property was in the freestyle cypher with him. And like, Spesh is nice. So bar for bar, he produces as well, but the straight bars, Spesh is dope. You know what I mean? So like, for him to feel like he's worthy of making someone move their top 5 around, I think he's well within his right to feel that way. And he's gonna feel how he feels anyway, right? So I just gotta respect that. But to people out there who feel as though Spesh, might be a little out of pocket, you can feel that way, but also I just implore you to like, kind of, if you can, step back for a minute and just listen to that man's work, because he's really, really, really dope at this, right? So with all that being said, where do I think this is gonna go, right? So Kiss, I don't know where he was at, but essentially he was out somewhere and he was saying something along the lines of like, yo, man, like I'm out here, I'm trying to be a father, I'm trying to be a businessman, I'm just minding my business, and they want to pull me back in, right? So I'm paraphrasing, that's not exactly what he said, but I knew, and everyone else who was aware about the situation knew who and what he was referring to when he said that. So I think at this point, we are looking at, you know, and I hope this happens this year soon, right? I don't want it to, this finally happens like, 18 months from now, but I'm hoping this year, sometime in the near future, we're gonna get a 38 Spesh and Jadakiss song. And listen, Kiss has always been like one of the illest ever, always, right? But I think we might wind up getting the Kiss verse. That's gonna be one of the ones, right? It's gonna be like a Who Shot You freestyle. It's gonna be a Made You Look remix. It's gonna be a Welcome to D Block. It's gonna be, you know what I'm saying, like Young, Gifted, and Black. It's gonna be 40 bars of terror. Like one of those verses where you sit back, be like, damn, like Kiss really went off on that. And Spesh, I don't think Spesh bit off more than he can chew. Maybe we'll see. We'll see. But Spesh, I think this is gonna be great for him because I feel like a lot of people right now, there's a lot of heat on Spesh. Like I'm saying heat because I'm a wrestling fan, and that's a term we use for people who like have a negative opinion, negative feeling towards someone. We say they got heat on them. So Spesh got a lot of heat on him after saying that Kiss is ducking him. But I think if Spesh just does what he does, and on that record with Kiss, which I'm pretty sure is gonna happen, a lot of people are gonna have to be like, damn, like who feel a way about him, they're gonna have to be like, damn, Spesh was out of pocket, but Spesh is nice. So I say all that to say, ultimately, even though I think, the way this came about was a little crazy, I think the end result is gonna be one of the um, best records of the times. You know what I'm saying? Jadakiss and 38 Spesh, trying to, I don't say go at each other necessarily, but it's going to be one of the ones where it's like it's a lot to be said here, right? Given how all this came about. So that's how I feel about the situation. It's all hip hop. It's going to be some really competitive hip hop, but it's all hip hop. How y'all feel about it? Do you think Kiss is going to go crazy? Do you think 38 Spesh was out of pocket? Do you think 38 Spesh was totally right in everything he said? How y'all feel about it? Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. As always, if you watch it, make sure you like. If you watch it and you enjoy it, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe to yours truly. Oh, and that thing I get that from Rob Van Dam. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. So in case you're watching, like, yo, why is this dude doing the thumbs like RVD? That's because I'm an RVD fan, right? So in any case, man, let me know what y'all think in the comments. Be good out there, and yeah, this is gonna be one of the ones, man. I'm looking forward to this record because I'm not speaking this into existence because it's already in the works anyway, right? It's just a matter of time until it comes out. Kiss, man, he's top 5 for a reason. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, y'all, be good. Peace.